was brought into the network as a 6-year-old girl by originally by a couple that the woman worked with our family as a cleaning person. And she and her husband had been grooming, I should say, my parents for a year. So we lived in Belgium. This couple was Dutch. And they invited my parents to take me to weekends and so forth. And so they actually taught me how to swim. And then after 1 year, they took me into the network. And however, afterwards, my mother herself took over from this couple. And so I was actually taken in by my mother most of the time. Yes, so the typical experiences were very atypical in any other sense of the word. So there was a lot of sexual abuse, and in the beginning, the first 3 years, I was considered a throwaway child, you could say. So that meant I was being raped or used for anything at all. I was trained to prepare men so that they could feel comfortable for their first time. So I, helped them to feel okay about what they were doing, and then they were taped. So they could be blackmailed afterwards. And these were men that were actually indoctrinated to a certain degree already before they were finally put in front of a young child. So when they finally were put in front of me, they didn't say no. They went ahead. But I was also given to some aristocrats. You could say that they were extremely sadistic. So, they killed children. And this was not particularly ritualistic. It was just certain people in that group of Belgian citizens were so sadistic that children wouldn't survive the night. So I did spend some nights with a baron, and I just, by chance, pure chance, survived that. And at 9 years old, a very strange situation really got me into a different position, you could say. That someone from the global network now, like so far I'd been a throwaway child in the Belgian network, and the boss of that network, he was the Minister of National Defense at the time. He gave me to an international networker. This was around the Bilderberg meeting of 1972, and I was 9 years old. So they did a ritual to honor this guest, and that was a satanic ritual. It was the first satanic ritual. And unfortunately, a child was killed. My friend. And then, through some absolutely miraculous circumstances, this international networker took an interest in me. And then, the first thing, he had my blood tested. He found out who my father was, which I myself did not know. It turned out that my father was from a line of Huguenots, so there was royal blood, and then that made this international networker very happy, and then he considered it that it was an honor for me that I would be able to be trained and be a higher level slave, mind control slave. So he spent 1 year, or there was 1 year of incredible resources spent on me to make me with the purpose of making me into a famous French singer, actress, to also help with the pedophile agenda, but also to be sold as a child, and then later as a star, to high-paying customers, very powerful men, and also to spy on those same men that were paying. So that was, and it was to be a very glamorous future. And I was promised a lot of things. And so the training was actually done in Germany, in Heidelberg, and was under the supervision of Hans, who was at the time, I believe, the head of the Pro Familia in Germany. So the mind control training lasted 1 month, and then there was all year, there were more parts of the training and other kinds of things to prepare me for this life. And after 1 year, I rebelled against my international network owner. And I thought I would be killed, but instead I was pushed out very viciously. Not before being reprogrammed in the worst possible way, torture-based, of course, and humiliated to the core, all to make sure that I would now not be successful. And then spent one more year in the Belgian network, where I was then used for the international VIPs, but ultimately rescued by somebody from the inside in a very dramatic way. But a deal was made, and at 11 years old, very unusual situation, I realized I was out. So what is so strange about mind control is that it is extremely well researched. There was no experimentation done on me at all. They knew exactly what was going to happen, and it did. And I myself was observing myself change from a child who'd always known that the rapists were wrong into a persona that was being created, the wild sex thing. And I didn't know that it was wrong anymore. Every channel was opened. My natural abilities were used and exploited and perverted and sexualized. And it was done in an absolutely expert way, that I thought I was this person. And it was highly scientific, but the context is crazy. So I think it can be really difficult to believe, because what I think is so hard to believe is just that the motives of these perpetrators, of these people that have this incredible position in the world, that they are so insane. There's all the money and the resources that they do spend, because otherwise they're pretty much stealing from everybody all the time. But in this situation, they were spending, investing. First, I was a product, so I would have made tons of money to some people, not just my owner, but also those higher up that would be getting a cut. So, and we're talking millions of dollars. So that's maybe easiest to understand. But the other purposes were just crazy. Spying on people so that my owner could get a better business advantage or a better political advantage. It's all so insane, because nobody can be honest. It's just they're emotionally infantile, and that is really the truth. And I think the whole power structure protects that power from us. So it's a mantle so that we don't see. We don't see the craziness. We don't see how insane they really are. If you would be face to face with that person, and they wouldn't do they wouldn't like stare you down into the ground or whatever and then make you feel like you're a little nothing. If you would be person to person, they would come out really badly. That's why they need the power. That's why they need to feel that they're superior. Well, complying, that was very simple. Torture, it's torture-based. Everything is about obeying. Everything is about taking away your free will and your any kind of light. You could say, a resistance to the evil, or light that you have, truth that you have, that this is wrong. Everything is made so that it'll be either beaten out of you or threatened out of you or tortured out of you or whatever. There are no limits to what they use to make sure that you will comply, as well as no limits to make sure that you will never speak out. So the compliance is easy with the torture and the threats also to loved ones. The mind games they play are very sick. In fact, sickening as well. Because again, the sadism, we can't even imagine how sadistic these people are. And that actually, it's like it's in the handbook, that kind of sadism of any child. And if you love someone, if you love another child, if you get close to another child, you're going to pay for it. You can't have anything beautiful. They will steal it and they will make you feel awful because your loyalty has to be only with them, not with other children. So that happened to me. Everything was incredibly horrific beyond words, and then had a huge traumatic impact on the rest of my life. I'm 60 years old. I'm still healing. But I think what caused me the most sorrow, I could say, was that little friend that I had that I was just mentioning. So we were both given for this international network, or this ritual that was put on around a Bilderberg meeting in Belgium in 1972. So there were 2 children given, me and my little friend, and he was a little bit slow. He was younger. I was 9, he was 7. And I loved him. I wanted to protect him. He was innocent. And I saw that in him, and I wanted to protect it, cost what cost. And it was decided that he was going to be sacrificed, and I was going to be raped. So I tried to save him. I grabbed him. I pulled him towards me, and they just not only pulled him out of my arms, but they treated me like nothing, like it didn't matter at all. I offered myself. I wanted to go instead of him. I pleaded for him. Didn't mean anything. I was just like a piece of dirt. And witnessing, I was being raped. Witnessing him being slaughtered. It's just, in his screams. Yeah, that's 50 years ago. It never really went away. Even though I've worked through that, I've cried over this since the 90s. It's been the biggest loss. It's hard, very, very difficult to work through that. I am very grateful at the moment because I've been public for 10 years. And the reactions of the public have improved drastically. And the openness to this reality is very encouraging. So I feel, though it is very difficult to absorb these truths, it takes courage to even absorb the truths in and of themselves. I'm really grateful for anyone not looking away and allowing yourself to go through that extreme discomfort of allowing this truth into your being. Because that is really the only thing that is going to be, we can't make a choice. If we don't want to know because it's too hard for us, we can't change anything. But if we know, yes, we're going to feel really helpless and powerless in the face of it at first. And believe me, I felt that way all my life. But then you come to a deeper place within yourself, first of all. You might even have to clear some of your own traumas as well. But then you will find, if you're passionate about this, if it doesn't leave you, if you want to do something, you'll find something from within yourself that you can do. There'll be something that you can do. Just knowing it actually already helps. The vibration, the ether, that this truth is out there in the ether. Just you knowing it already helps. So I really appreciate you opening yourself to this.